So we're at the Retool Athletes Lounge in Boulder, Colorado. Very fortunate to be Skype visited by Chris Ragsdale from Seattle, Washington, joining us here on Retool TV with George Thomas. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, George. Pleasure to be with you.
Well, it's good to have you here. Always a pleasure to visit with you, Chris. Got a pretty gorgeous bike behind you. What's going on in your life right now?
Things are pretty exciting, man. This bike's been a ton of fun to ride. I got set up by Village earlier this year. We talked and set up an arrangement, and they're happy to sponsor me for this coming race across America this year. So super happy. This one's the Licio 2, but I got the Licio 1 earlier in the year. I've currently got it set up with fenders and everything, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting on these bikes this season, getting some training in.
Now, I've known you for a long time. You're as fit as I've ever seen you in March, or April, actually.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good right now. I'm really excited about where I'm at. I've been trying to take it slow this year, trying to not be, at full capacity right now in April, and I feel pretty good. Yeah, I've gotten some great training blocks in. My big weeks are big, and my top end is looking really good. I'm still doing a lot of speed work with Dr. Cooper, and yeah, I'm really happy with where we're at physically right now. So.
Now, something like Race Across America, the longest event you've done so far is PvP, correct?
Yeah.
So 750 miles. Technically not a race, but anybody who's been there knows that's not true.
Yeah, that's my longest. I've done Paris, I've done Boston, Montreal, Boston, Cascade 1200. But you're right, that 1200K distance is my furthest so far. Yeah, really excited about taking it to the next level.
What are your goals throughout the race? What kind of mileage do you want to hit per day?
I'm looking at it. We've done a pretty thorough analysis of the race, and I've taken a lot of top 10 guys, a lot of 8-day, 9-day, 10-day riders, and really analyzed their ride. Looked at what these guys are doing in the first 24 hours. At the 2-day mark, 3-day mark, 4-day mark, and in fact, the map that's behind me, we've actually plotted out. We've taken a 8.5 day, a 9-day, and a 9.5 day finish, and we plotted where they were at each day increment. And so it was pretty fascinating for me to see some of those numbers and see that even Robic had in a winning year sometimes 3 days below 300 miles. It was really fascinating when I took that analysis of how all of these different types of riders get it done. I think what it did was it freed up a lot of space in my mind for being able to have bad days and have some off times and still be able to ride strong later on. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. You talk about what my strategy is going into it, and I don't want to go out super hard. I want to save myself a little bit. Some of my better rides I've done having a negative split. When I got the national 24-hour record, I actually rode more in the second 12 than I did in the first 12. At PvP, I did the second 600 faster than the first, and I don't want to go out screaming fast. I wouldn't expect me to be in the top 5 or anything like that coming into the first time stations, but I'm hoping to pick it up, say day 3, something like that.
It's sad how many people think it really counts who's first to time station 1.
My research has found it can make a difference in some of the shorter races. In a 24-hour race at 5:08 and race across Oregon, you look at who wins the race at the end. They're usually the first guy at the first time station, and that sometimes holds true at Ram as well. But there's also some guys. Pattinson a couple of years back finished second, and he was nowhere near the front in the beginning. And yeah, still had a great race.
Now, something that you've done has really impressed me. You've been very mature in the way you went about approaching the race this year from a financial standpoint. You kind of tested the waters, saw that there was some interest in sponsoring you and raising some funds, and were able to get that done and kind of get that out of the way, because that really can hold a lot of people back in their training. And that's something that's come fairly easily for you, hasn't it?
We put in a lot of work. Myself and the team have done a lot of work to make it happen. I wouldn't say it was easy, but we did raise most of what we need so far. A lot of it's projected cost, obviously, and we don't know what the actual cost of gas or hotel room is going to be on the road. But we've raised over $25,000 so far, and we think that's going to get the majority of this thing done. We've got a couple more events coming up that we're excited for. It certainly relieved a lot of the stress for me. I don't have a lot of money myself, and it was one of the things that was holding me back with this was whether or not I was going to be able to pull it off financially. And it's a huge relief for both myself and my family to know that that part of it at least is taken care of, and now we can focus on getting me to the physical and mental place I need to be to make this thing happen, and worrying about the rest of the logistics. Fortunately, the crew's helping out with a lot of that as well.
Who are some of the sponsors that have stepped up and helped you out?
Well, Velashi's been a huge sponsor. They've come forward with bikes, and they're helping me out as much as they can. I'm super, super grateful to be on their bikes. They're just perfectly suited for this kind of race. I couldn't be happier with that. Mikhail Performance has been a long-time sponsor of mine. A ton of support coming out of Mike. We've got Seattle Performance Medicine. Dr. Cooper has been a long-time sponsor. She does a lot of testing on me, a lot of blood work. We do a lot of work at her studio. I'm in there sometimes once a week, sometimes every other week doing work with her. Olson's Bicycles has been a help the last couple of years. Mike down there at Olson's is helping me out a lot. I really appreciate all his support. Cycle U came forward this year, let me use their facilities for a couple of fundraisers. He's helped me out. As well as, who do we got? Rock and Road Cycles out of Grand Haven, Michigan. It's always been a long-time sponsor of mine as well. So.
Now, we heard a little squeaky noise there in the back. I don't think that was a chain. You got a full-time job, you got a family. How are you fitting your training in around your normal life?
It's interesting. We do got two little guys running around upstairs. I can hear them chomping back and forth upstairs. It's challenging, I was able to I'm a production manager in a print marketing facility, and so I was able to get things in a place where all of a sudden at 12 o'clock I realized, I think I can get out of here this afternoon. And so I packed my stuff up, took off, and was able to squeeze in a few hour ride before I did this interview. I got to squeeze it in when I can, where I can. I've been doing a lot of night riding, which is both good logistically, so I can be home and spend some of the weekend with the boys, but it's been good for me to get that type of training in, right? The night riding is challenging. It's tough to stay focused. It's tough to stay mentally engaged to keep the speed up at night. And so getting that practice in, getting a lot of long hours in with good friends has been a huge help as well.
Now, you're one of the best distance racers in America. There have not been great showings by Americans solo. I mean, they've done a great job, but Ram has really been ruled in the top 3 by Europeans recently. You want to crack that? You feel some pressure on you? Or are you just out there to do your best and have fun?
It's a race, and we're all there to win. I hope, if we wanted to see who could ride their bike from coast to coast, there's a lot cheaper ways to do it, right? I mean, I hope that we're all getting to the finish line, wanting to see how well we compare. Want to see if we can pull it off. I don't want to rule myself out before the race starts. I got a plan to win. I'm gonna try and execute that plan as well as we can. I realize I don't have the resources, I don't have the time that some of these guys have, or the money, or the experience. But we got a plan, and we're planning for something special, and we're gonna try and make that happen. I feel confident that if I can go into this thing in the best shape of my life, that good things can happen. So,
tell us a little bit about your team. Who's on your crew? Who's your crew chief?
Super excited about the team. Bob Brudvik is our crew chief. He's been a crew chief of mine for years. He's done a lot of my 508s. He did my world record. He's crewed countless rides of mine. He's our crew chief. He's actually done team random himself. So super excited to be led by him. Outside of that, we've got Mike McHale, a good friend. He's a rider as well. Crazy great with the numbers. This guy's cooking out spreadsheets right now that are just outrageous. He's got 10 riders from the last 5 years and building curves and statistical analysis that's just great. He's going to know when we're 6 time stations into this thing what our projected finish is and what exactly my average should be for each of the time stations along the way. My good buddy and old high school friend Matt Smith has crewed all my national 24-hour attempts. He's crewed 508 and Texas Hill Country. He's somebody who's really close to me, knows me really well, and he's seen it all for me. So love to have him there. Few new people are actually going to be Terry Lentz and Luis Comer that I'm very excited to have on board. Terry was actually a 508 veteran, beat me down in Death Valley down in 2010. on a bike he hand built himself. So super excited to have him, and then his good friend Luis Comer, who's also an accomplished athlete as well as a ton of crew experience. And then the sixth person we'll have is Sol Mannion, who's a local guy. He's done a lot of riding. He's a bike shop mechanic, and he's been a masseuse for quite a few years now as well. So that's going to be a great addition to the team.
So you got a fairly small crew. Sounds like you got a good bunch, though. So I'm not going to get into any of your strategy now, even though I've got all sorts of questions for you.
Yeah.
But
we do have a small crew. 6 people, I think, as small as most people ever do. And I think we're going to be able to get it done. Bob and I talked about it a lot of different ways, and I think it can add a lot of logistics and a lot of drama when the team gets too big. So we got a super dedicated, really strong team that I'm sure can get the job done. So,
what are you most excited about?
What was that, George? It broke up.
Oh, what are you most excited about as far as the race?
What am I excited about? There's some of these roads I've never seen before. I'm really looking forward to going through the Arches and going through, some of that Utah, Arizona, some of that stuff I'm really, really looking forward to. What I'm looking forward to is finding my own rhythm in it, to be able to go through these cycles, through these daily cycles. I break everything down in my head, and I've done a lot of analysis of how other guys have done it. We've got a plan around how I'm going to get it done, and making things happen at certain points of the day in order to get into this circular motion to be able to break the race down. And I'm really anxious and excited to find my rhythm in it.
What's your biggest concern?
My biggest concern? I think my biggest concern is just keeping everybody safe. We've been talking about 2 main goals with this entire thing, and it's being focused on safety and possibility. That safety thing's a big deal. It can happen with the crew. It can happen with me. We want to make sure that everybody comes out of this thing safe. And, particularly with those really, really sleepy hours, it can get really, really tough out there, as you know. So we're gonna put a lot of focus and a lot of energy into those few really, really difficult sleepy hours in the early morning or late night.
So to wrap up, what are your top 3 goals?
Top 3 goals. I think the number 1 goal is to leave this thing with no regrets. I want to have the race of my life. I think that I've been building for years, and this is a bit of a climax, and I want to really go into this thing knowing that was as close as I've been to accomplishing my potential. I feel like there's so many of these races I finish with and always try to analyze and critique how I could have done it better, how I could have done more miles or gotten it done faster, and I want to try to keep that to as small a gap as possible to really say that was as close to my potential as I could have done on that day. And that's the huge goal. If we can do that, we stay safe, I think we're going to have a great race. I think we should be able to be competitive. So,
what day do you roll out of Oceanside?
Tuesday, June 11th. Is that right? I think it is. Yeah.
Finishes up in Annapolis, Maryland, about 3,000 miles away, just over. So your goal, hoping for about an 8.5, 9-day crossing?
We'll see. I'd love to make that happen, yeah.
We'd love to see it happen. Chris Ragsdale from Seattle, Washington. Thanks for joining us here at the Athlete Lounge and TV studios at Retool in Boulder, Colorado. For Retool TV, I'm George Thomas.